Hey guys, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode, we've got old hammers here. It was kind of a trying time with hammers there, and I kind of left it. I didn't really leave it where I wanted to leave it, so I put together a list of lessons learned with this saw build. Hopefully, some of this stuff will help you guys out. I kind of skipped over some of this stuff as I was going through there. So, lessons learned. Let's start at the top. First lesson: probably not going to be using the highway Titanical. Wasn't real happy with it. The chipping started immediately from taking off that edge at the lower transfers and then just continued on from there. Speaking of taking off the edge, don't use an angle grinder. That was one quick lesson I learned there. I had to skim off the bottom of that jug just right away from leaving some little nicks and burrs in there. Let's see here. Always use lube when you're doing your grinding and new tooling. And that's essential, especially for those highway ones. I mean, the Italy Tech Made in Italy Nicosil one that I did previously on the 61, I mean, I was using the same techniques on both cylinders, and I had much better results on that Italy Tech one. So, but same way, use new burr bits and lube on there. With the highway ones, I would suggest using that diamond ball burr. And basically, as soon as you get your marks and your layout in your cylinder where you're going to grind to, just immediately hit that with the ball burr and then go to grinding. Alright, grind transfers and then the case to match. So even when I went back with that different cylinder, I ground the lower transfers and then lined it up in the case. Again, each case half, and then match that to the right side. Make sure your exhaust is pointing the right direction and stuff like that before you start grinding there. The squish on this one, and let's talk about the numbers on this one real quick, because I ended up basically the same as I did on that 61 with 162 just over 25. It was like 26 blowdown for the upper transfers. I hit right at 20 thousandths or 21 thousandths squish. I went to 19. I actually cut an additional 10 thousandths pop up in the piston and then took it down, I think around 30 thousandths off of the base of the jug to get down. But I'm like right there, 21 thousandths with a 158 intake duration. And it's almost too hard to pull over. I put the decomp back on there because trying to pull it over with a plug just wasn't really happening. Alright, so this was my last attempt at using a knockoff carb. I know they're pretty tempting when you can buy a carb kit for $15 to $20 or a new carb for $15 to $20. But the new carb kit, the new carb, the aftermarket Chinese carb that you're going to get, it may or may not work. And in my case, I haven't had a really good one yet. So, no more knockoff carbs for me. Don't change too many things at one time. Like this one here, it was a basket case bag of hammers. So I mean, I stripped it down to nothing and then started building it back up. It'd be nice to be able to have a running saw and a known problem that you can diagnose, fix that known problem, and then start building it up from there. When you start with a bare case and work your way up to, you know, a running saw that's kind of monster sized, you really don't know what's wrong. But, so yeah, try not to change too many things at once if you can avoid it. Check the O-ring. Check the O-ring behind the seal, or behind the oil pump. There's a sleeve with a shoulder on it. That shoulder goes next to the crank, but there should be an O-ring in there. Donnie Walker did a good one on that, just maybe a month ago or so. Let's see here. Only machine the cylinder piston if you're an experienced machinist. I've set up a lot of custom jobs and done a lot of custom parts, so you know, it's kind of right up my alley trying to figure it out, and that's a lot of fun for me, is machining and figuring out how to machine to get, you know, the desired results. So this was a hard lesson to learn. Get the crankcase or crank 2-case installer tool. Husqvarna has got what's called the assembly tool. and that actually drives the bearing with the crank and bearing assembly into the case, and that was just a real pain. So I ended up getting that tool, but not until after I was already done, you know. Let's see here, and then I guess the last thing here is have fun during the process. I was into this thing about 3 weeks, and toward the end of it there, I was just dreading even working on the thing, because it had given me, you know, just problem after problem after problem from the first start of assembly there with the crankcase and the bearings all the way through till the end. I mean, it was just fighting me the whole way. So, but I look back at it and I miss working on it. You know, when I finally got done and put it in the wood and it was just ripping it up like a frickin' monster, I was kind of looking back going, man, I really should have enjoyed this more as I was working on it, because I did enjoy it. It was just frustrating, you know, all the things that were kind of going wrong as I was working on it there. So, note to self, and if you're going to attempt this process, enjoy the process, right? Yeah, enjoy the process. It's fun stuff. All right, so now for the first time here, we're going to put it in some big wood. Let's get it started. I had it warmed up a little bit ago, and let's check out the warm start on it. See how easy it is to start. It does idle, just kind of weird, in and out. But let's run it here and see how it's actually going to work in the wood, in big wood. Something's not quite right there, huh? Interesting. Just wanted to give a quick update after the trial run of hammers there. It was at the point there where I was on my third tank of gas, maybe end of the second tank, somewhere in there. I put a lot of break-in time on it, and it was not running well there. You saw that. What had happened was, so to add to the list of lessons learned, right? Catastrophic failure. At that point, I was just going to run it, and either it was going to work or it wasn't. I should have probably looked a little closer at it, because on these 365, 372, 375, the side ports that come in through the bottom of the jug right there on the outside is really, I mean, thin. It's like an 1/8 inch. And the moto seal ended up giving way, and it had a bottom end leak. So if your saw is running like that one was, where it's just not quite right, I mean, it fluctuates idle, it seems to kind of bog in the cut, it's just, you can't tune it, that type of thing. It could be a catastrophic type of deal like that. And the weird thing was, it was seeming like it was running lean, but at the same time it was like blowing out gas, and it looked like it was running rich. But lean condition, it's going to run much hotter than it's supposed to, and that's what was going on there. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to run it, and if it breaks, it breaks. If it runs, it runs. It didn't run, and it did break. The ring broke on the exhaust port side right in the middle, and then destroyed the piston, the jug, and the rings. So, you know, there's $130 flushed right down the drain, because, I mean, at that point I thought I had done everything right, but lesson learned, fool me once, right? I'm not using moto seal on the 372, 365, the side port type pistons. The closed ports, the ports on the inside of the jug, those I'm still going to be okay with using that, but it's just too thin right around there. So I used the moto seal on the Wolf. I'm comfortable and confident that it's going to hold on that one, because it's got that big sealing surface, right? It's you know, 3/8 or better all the way around there, maybe as much as a 1/2 inch. So, but anyways, it's running good today. Oh, is it ever? So what I did there, I actually had another piston ring, and I decided that I didn't like the higher pop-up and the 20 thousandths of squish, and kind of thinking about it, you know, if I have to replace the piston on a kind of hotter saw like this, it's going to be a real pain then to machine it right out of the box before it can go in the saw. So I skimmed off the bottom until I got my squish where I wanted it with the base gasket. Remember, we're using a base gasket now. Never again will I use moto seal on a 372. But I also took the squish back to 23 thousandths. So I machined the bottom all the way down to where, when it was seated down with the base gasket, it was 23. Still got the decomp there, and then didn't mess with the piston at all. That way I can get a replacement highway pop-up piston, 52 millimeter for the 372, plug it right in with a new set of rings, and be good to go. So I think I made the right decision all around. Again, I wanted this to be my perfect saw, and just thinking about it, it wasn't going to be in that configuration. And so the fact that it blew up was actually a good thing. Taught me a few lessons, right? You know, plan for longevity more than raw power, and also the moto seal around that thin, you know, surface, not going to work. So here's what it sounds like now. It's running excellent, excellent. And I can actually pull it over, which is nice. But having that decomp there makes that possible. let's do a restart here. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about having that higher compression, you know, super pop-up piston. You can't drop start them either. I mean, the thing just, it's like, nope, I'm not pulling over for you. So anyways, that's going to do it for today on Man Time, guys. Your perfect saw. What's your perfect saw? Let me know down there in the comments. I think I found mine.